Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today I'll talk about urban cycling. In Pakistan, use of bicycles is considered to be a sign of poverty, generally used by servants, low income factory workers, daily wages, etc. And a few people use it as a leisure activity. Private motorized vehicles are associated with prestige and wealth. But let's take the example of Netherlands, which is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Its GDP per capita is around 57,000 US dollars, and its annual economic growth is well above the European average. Despite that, with a population of 17 million, it has 22 million bicycles. Thus, on average, there are 1.3 cycles per person. The country has an extensive and comfortable network of dedicated cycling infrastructure. The system is so efficient that in urban centers, trips made on bicycle are on average 5% faster than the same trip made by car. Now, in Pakistan, especially in larger urban centers, traffic volumes are high and generally reckless. Hence, cycling is perceived as dangerous. Cyclists also have limited range, as these are human powered, and on top of that we have hot climate and without any worthwhile cycling infrastructure. There is also a lack of motivation or awareness to encourage cycling. We are a car centric country with a strong car culture and a weak concern about environment. There is no political determination to steer transport development towards more cycling. No effort is ever made to support people's transition from car to bicycle. The present day Lahore has not been developed for people but for cars, overheads, underpasses, fast lanes, lack of crosswalks for pedestrians and cyclists, and a culture that perceives car to enforce your social class. The streets in our old cities were not built for cars. But number of cars is increasing day by day, and to make room for them, roads are widened, sometimes by chopping trees and demolishing buildings. In fact, road widening is considered to be a silver bullet to cater for the increasing vehicular traffic. But this does not help and creates more problems, resulting in further road widening, hence a vicious circle. There is a general unwillingness on part of planners to upset the road lobby and media, and this leads to compromised designs based on the needs of motorists rather than the alternatives. There is also fundamental unsuitability between cycling and urban form of our expanding cities, as longer distances from home to work discourage cycling. Since our policies are urban biased and new developments are car centric, having huge roads for motorized traffic, and as always, cycling is marginalized. Now, what needs to be done? We need to start discussing cycling in urban planning and turn away from car-centric policies, at least partially. Cycling should be integral part of transport policies and morphology, that is, shape and structure of cities, should match with the range of cycling. Cycling needs to be integrated with railway stations and bus terminals, and also with commercial centers, offices, institutional uses, etc. These should be easily bikeable, at least from areas in the vicinity, say within a radius of 5 kilometers. And we need to have adequate and safe bicycle parking spaces in these areas. Should we always separate cycling from road traffic? Personally, I think yes. Wherever possible, tracks should have cycle tracks should have separate, shorter routes and should be safe and pleasant to ride on. Now, like cars, cycles also have wheels and they roll. So, cycle paths also need smooth pavement. The question of aesthetics in form of vegetation, etc., is also important to make cycling attractive and visually pleasant, especially if the motorists are to be attracted towards cycling. However, if you can't go for separate cycling paths because of some limitations, if cycle tracks have to run in the same road corridor, these should be along the footpaths and not along the roads. I mean, road, footpath, cycle track. Also, in a certain area, if there is no space for separate cycling track, the space is inadequate, lanes can be narrowed. It will improve safety. I know this will raise many eyebrows, but just like trees and just like tree-lined streets are streets with utility poles, etc., many drivers tend to slow down and concentrate more. Narrower travel lanes have the same positive effect. So, narrowing the lanes is safer. But what to do with the extra space thus created? This can be used for cycling. All said and done, it's important to have dedicated cycle tracks, but exclusive focus on lanes is not enough. It should be combined with safe and adequate parking and a comprehensive view of mobility. There are, of course, areas in every city which are more conducive to car use, obviously, such as low densities and longer distances. But we also need a cycling environment where transport and land use characteristics fit cycling mode. As I already said, for cycling we need destination close by, which essentially means a mixed land use area. Solutions should be sustainable and accessible. To quote Andres Duene, The problem with planning is that it has been overtaken by mathematical models, traffic density, impact assessment, and so on, discarding common sense and empirical observation. Unquote. If we have good cycling infrastructure, many motorists will prefer to switch to bicycles. I'm quite certain about that. But if we only focus on creating more space for cars, more cars will come. That's it for now. Thank you.